Our guest today is Mitchell Brinker. Mitchell Brinker is a film student who is trying to graduate in the midst of this coronavirus epidemic. Mitchell, tell us something about yourself.
Hi, thank you for having me. So I'm a film student that is air quote graduating in May. Maybe not so much anymore because of the whole virus, but I go to University of North Carolina School of the Arts where I studied cinematography, and that was the whole goal, is to get out of there and go do cinematography. But it's a little weird now with the industry being all shut down.
You weren't able to finish your classes online?
We are finishing our classes. It's like, say, for instance, this semester we had our master class, which was us getting a camera and shooting a project, and then a 35 millimeter film class where we'd get some film and then shoot a project, which we were going to do throughout the rest of the semester. But since everything switched to online, we can't really do that. So what we do instead is we just get on Zoom with our teachers and kind of talk ideas. And that's pretty much what we've been doing for the whole rest of the semester, is just getting on with teachers and talking to them. And whenever we can, have guest artists come in and everything. So a very different thing than actually being on set shooting stuff.
So you're just starting into the business, and the future's kind of uncertain right now, isn't it?
It is. I joke about this with my one professor, my mentor, about how I'm like, we're always so nervous to get out of film school because it's already a really hard industry to break into, because everybody wants to work in the industry. Everybody has a story. Everybody wants to be a DP or a director. So it's already an oversaturated market that's going to be tough to break into. And now this has happened and the whole industry has shut down, which just pushes everything back even more. So you have a bunch of us ready to graduate, and we're optimistic about, like, we're going to go to LA or New York and start getting on projects. And now there's just nothing to get on. And it's like, I guess I'll work in the coffee shop for another couple months and figure this out and wait it out.
So you are going to graduate anyway, in spite of the coronavirus.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all still graduating. It's just the classes itself, and not getting to do some of the stuff, especially because our fourth year at our school was kind of the big year when you really get to get your hands on a lot of equipment and make your own projects where you have complete control over them. And pretty much all of the 12 people in my class, only one person actually got to shoot their stuff before everything closed down. So there's definitely like a part of it where it's like, it's a bit disappointing that we don't get that opportunity. But it's like, the pandemic happened. I can't be mad at that and everything. It's, the school's still doing its best to try and switch to the online platform. It's just a really tricky thing to do with a film school as opposed to any other normal school. I feel like.
Um, okay, after the virus lifts, what are your plans? Are you going to go to another city? What cities have you picked out to try to find a job?
I started wanting to do commercial work and music video work, and I was thinking about New York for the longest time. Just this last couple, maybe like 4 or 5 months, I've switched more to going to LA, just because I feel like I've met more people at my school and on set that reside in LA, and I feel like I have more connections there. And it makes a lot more sense for me to go there because that's where I might find more work through my connections than New York. But I'm also, in the last couple weeks, have been giving thought to possibly going for an MFA in cinematography at AFI, which is another thing that's been a little tricky because of the whole Corona pandemic, and it's something that I would like to look into doing, but also because how schools are being hit from this shutdown, it's not also a great time to try and do that. So a lot of things have been kind of offset. But definitely LA and AFI are probably what I'm going to try and do once I graduate and once everything gets to where I can do that.
Okay, some of my friends have headed down to Atlanta, New Orleans, and Austin as other film centers.
Yeah, I know. I got a couple friends that were classes above me that a lot of them went to Atlanta. Um, I think I have one friend named Sims who has been doing a lot of stuff in Atlanta. I think he's on like whatever the last Adam Sandler movie was that was like a Happy Madison production. Um, I don't know. I've never looked much into Atlanta. From what I've learned, from what I've been told, is Atlanta is a great place if you're looking to work as like camera teams or um, second or thirds. Where I really do want to be the DP on some projects, which still isn't can't really just break out and start DPing stuff. But I'm gonna try and go to LA. I think LA and New York are probably two good places. One for commercial, one for feature film. It's also a really weird thing to figure out.
Have you been
It's so
keeping in
daunting.
Have you been keeping in contact with your contacts in those places during this?
Absolutely. I was just talking to my one friend today who's in LA shooting some stuff, and he was razzing me a little bit because I was mentioning about going to AFI, and he's like, "Why would you want to go to another school, start working?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I feel like I have so much more to learn. It's a crazy industry. You never stop learning in this industry."
There's been a lot of talk about whether it's better to go to film store or continue film school or just go out there and start working. And you seem to have chosen to go to film school. What do you think the advantages of film school are?
Um, I think. Well, I have a friend who I went to UNCSA with, and in my second year, he dropped out of film school, and he went to LA and just started doing work. And he's been like, I don't want to say like greensman, just like kind of assistant help, PA and stuff on projects like Birds of Prey and everything. And he's been getting some stuff going. And then I have other friends who, a lot of people I go to school with, and a lot of my friends are looking to just graduate and go out into the industry and work. I think it's a tricky thing. I don't think going for another couple of years of a school is super beneficial, like going to AFI or something, unless it is AFI or Chapman or like USC or whatever school it is that's like a top three master's program. Because I feel like the benefit of going to one of those after your first 4 years is mostly just getting the school under your name. You're getting that like school name under your belt and everything. Having a something like USC or Chapman or AFI is going to definitely turn some heads a lot more than just having UNCSA. I mostly want to go because I've talked to a couple alumni from there that are doing amazing work and have been doing amazing work. And after talking to them and then my mentor about it and seeing what they offer at that school, it's pretty incredible. Intense 2 years of nonstop cinematography work, and it sounds like a lot of what I feel like I didn't get exactly in these last couple years, mostly because of just other political things that can happen in school systems and this coronavirus and everything. I don't feel exactly ready to jump out exactly into the industry. It's a little bit, I feel like I need a little more training. And there's other aspects about it that I need to learn other than just how to DP a film. But 30% of the job is actually being on set shooting a film, and then 70% of it is meetings and interviews and politics. And I've learned a lot about that 30% of shooting. I don't know much about the 70% of doing the politics and everything. Which, and that's also coming from life experience. That's where that's going to come from, not just school.
Well, you seem to have a plan for your future. If someone wanted to go to film school, what advice would you give them? What kind of place would they look for, and what do they think they can get out of it?
I think when I look at why I went to film school, it was a weird thing because back in high school, I did some videos for the school news with my friends, and at a point, I was like, this is kind of fun, and I would always act in them. And I was like, I kind of want to be behind the camera, and then I started to shoot some of them with my friend. And after like a year of doing the school news and doing that, I'm like, this is kind of fun. I wonder if I can make a career out of this. So I looked into film schools, and I just looked up like your basic top 10 film schools in the US or something. And I don't know why, but I saw UNCSA and I was like, well, that's really close to where I live. It's not across the country. So it was the one that I went and did an open house at and toured. And I was like, okay, I like this place a lot. This is homey and really nice. And it's like the only school I applied to. I applied to Chapman. Those are the only two I applied to, and I went to UNCSA. And I think the big benefit of going to a school like that, or any film school, but I think specifically UNCSA, because I don't know a lot of the other systems that other schools have in place, but with ours, they kind of give you this their system that they have in play for like your thesis films and everything is really nice because everybody pitches a film and they like kind of narrow it down to like 8 or 16 second year films, and then like 8 third-year films and 8 fourth-year films, and then everybody crews up and shoots those films. But instead of the way other schools do it where it's self-funded, the school kind of owns their own rental house and a bunch of equipment, and they give every film like a set amount of money to put towards like rooming for actors and catering and food and like contingencies and all that stuff. And then we also get the equipment, so it's nothing's really coming out of our pockets to fund the film, and we're given all this stuff and we just go out and we shoot these films. So it's like there's no, like, we have this opportunity to go out and make a project and fail without having like really high stakes, which I think is really nice because you're a bunch of film students, you're learning. So you're not going to go make a film and it's going to be amazing the first time. Like, you're going to go have a lot of problems. And I can say of the 3 films I've made at that school, like, there's definitely been huge problems on each of them, learning experiences. And it's nice knowing that we had that opportunity to fail and learn something. Whereas other places, I feel like it's a lot harder because not everybody gets to make something. And sometimes whenever it's self-funded and everything, and you have a lot of stakes in the film, and then if the film fails, it hurts a lot more. So that was like an aspect of my school that I really liked. And I think that's like the big thing for me about going to film school is, especially if you don't know anything. I mean, some people, you see it every year, some first years come into the film school and they're like, well, I've been in sets on LA and I'm really good. And I go in there, I'm like, I don't know any, I just shoot some YouTube videos for my school news. But like, you get to learn everything, and it's nice, and you don't have to worry about say you want to try some trick or some lighting setup or some type of camera move or something on a film, and it doesn't work out, and because of it you don't end up making your day. And you're like, all right, well, I have a really good learning experience from this. But if you do that on an actual shoot, like, all right, well, you're the DP that doesn't make their days, and then that gives you a bad reputation, and then next thing you know, like, people don't hire you as much because you have done bad, not efficient work in the past. And just having a place to go where you can take those risks and not have to worry about losing your career. I think that's like the big thing that I really liked about it. I try something and I leave going, all right, well, that didn't work and I could have done this instead, and I will have the chance to do it again, as opposed to, well, I'm not going to have the chance to DP a film now because nobody's going to want to hire me because I messed up. That's the big thing about film school. It's nice, it's an opportunity to fail and learn from it. It's a school.
Okay. What
Long-winded answer.
haven't I uh, asked you about that you'd like to tell us, or do you have some last words for people who are in your situation of just starting out and your career is kind of on hold because of the coronavirus?
Yeah, it's really scary, and I mean, I'm stressed a lot about it. I'm constantly like, what am I gonna do? But I think the thing is, and I was talking to my mentor about this. I think that it's scary because like the future is quote unquote unsure and everything, and we're all on hold. But the thing is, like, I feel like once this does die down and things start to go back to normal, even though they won't go back to normal, we're going to be in like a new normal. Things will be different from it. But I think the industry is going to pop back up. I mean, I feel like we always need entertainment. I feel like being a human is telling stories, and if there's no stories to tell and consume, like I don't know what would happen, but like that's why Hollywood's been around so long, and like there's always going to be stories to tell. So I think the industry is going to eventually it's going to come back, and when it does, there's going to be a ton of jobs and everything, like more jobs than there were, and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. And I I can speculate, but I feel like that means that it might make it a little bit easier to kind of get your foot in the door when there's a lot more jobs and a lot more things open, a lot more opportunities. Um, so I mean, it's just this waiting period in the middle that's really stressful because it's like, what's going to happen? What do I do now? I can speak for a couple people I know and myself. You kind of feel a little hopeless. It's like, you just spend 4 years of film school and it's like, well, now I don't get to make films. And that's like, what did I do this for? But I think waiting it out and being patient, it's going to pay off. I think it's going to get good. Um, Things will be different for sure, but the industry is not going to go anywhere. I mean, this is just a break for it, even though I don't think it's ever stopped like this. I don't think it's ever been hit like this in the history of the film industry, but it'll come back. I think it'll come back. And if not,
Do you
I'll
think
learn
you'd
something else.
be, if it wasn't for the coronavirus, you'd be sitting in school right now, sweating out your senior film, and you think you'd be less nervous about the future?
Yeah, I think I mean, I would still be nervous because the whole element of just getting out of school and finally being in the industry and like finding the work and everything, like that's a daunting thing. I would definitely feel a lot better about what I had to take with me. I don't think I mean, there's like 3 projects that I didn't get to shoot because of this whole cancellation that were like completely 100% my vision. And I was really looking forward to putting those in like a reel so I could have more work to show off what I can do. And I don't get to get those projects now. So I'm definitely a little bit more nervous in the sense that I don't feel as good about my portfolio. Like, I think it's okay, but it's not as good as I feel like it could have been. And now I don't have that work. So that makes me a little nervous because I don't know when I'm going to be able to get more work for that portfolio. Um, I'm definitely a lot more nervous now because of the whole pandemic. I think if I was still in school and this hadn't happened, I'd still be nervous, but not nearly as much. It would just be going the course as it had been going. This was just a really, really big wrench inside of that, thrown into that.
You're focusing on becoming a cinematographer or director of photography. Uh,
Yes.
what do you see? What are most of the people in film school interested in doing? Are they interested in cinematography or directing, or what do you think's the most?
Oh, it's so funny. It's great. The way my school does it is your first year, you're a generalist. So you learn everything. And then your second year, you narrow down to 2 disciplines. So like I would pick cinematography and directing. And then at the end of your second year, you interview for both of those departments. And then you get admitted into one of them. And then you finish off your last 2 years in that department. Every year you go into that school and, you ask all the fresh faces, like who wants to do this, who wants to do this. And it's always 99% of them always put their hands up for directing. Everybody always wants to direct. um, I mean, we go in as like 100 students, and my class of 4th year cinematographers is 12 people. So it like narrows down. And even out of those 12 people in the cinematography discipline, there's like 3 of us who want to DP, and then some want to gaff, some want to be first ACs, some want to be camera operators. So like not everybody wants to be a director of photography. And that's true for like the 3rd year classes too. Like not everybody wants to do it. It's usually like a small percentage of the class in the end wants to go off and do that, and the rest just at least want to do just a job on set in that field, in that department. Some people, I have friends who are like, I want to cam up because I don't like DPing. It's just not for me. Or I want to gaff because I don't like DPing, and I happen to love it. I think it's just wonderful.
Okay, I was curious about that. I I make documentaries, and I think some of the funnest stuff is the planning to get it started. Almost like the producing is fun,
Yeah.
And the directing and cinematography, that's okay. And then the editing is very hard, but it's fun because you can get the stuff pulled together at the end. You know,
Yeah, I haven't done any documentary, but I couldn't imagine the editing. I'm sure you find a lot of it in the editing. Um, you're just like kind of grabbing this rough. I'm assuming like you have like a rough idea outline of the things you need for it, and then you get it, and then it's like pulling the story together. And the edit would be crazy. I'm not. I don't edit ever, so like when I think of editing, I'm like, oh, geez. So thinking about that is like, whoa.
well, it's a pain. It really is, but it's also satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good documentaries too. I'm sure everybody's watched Tiger King. That was like the one that made me go back and say, "Oh, I love documentaries. These are sweet."
All right, then, Mitchell. I think I'll let you go. We've had a good interview here, and I'll talk to you later.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and stay
Certainly.
safe.